All right, everyone. This is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer and founder of the Express Entry Law Facebook page. I guess it's a group, actually. This is the EE Live Q&A for July. Let's see, what are we? We are July the 6th, 2017. This was originally supposed to go at 7:30 a.m. this morning, but I was a little bit delayed. And as life goes with immigration lawyers, I had a few things come up here in the office that delayed the start of this. You can see the sun is shining brightly. Usually I record this in the evenings or in the morning, and so the coloration here is a little bit different, but hey, that's all right. Okay, I wanted to just give a few moments for people to connect here, and I'd like to see how the audio is. So if you can just give me a thumbs up and let me know if this is sounding okay, that would be great. And then I'll know that it's recording. Okay, Shaon, great. Thank you for confirming that. So I have a number of questions that I've received from listeners that I'm going to be going through today. I may also answer a few of your questions related to that pop up here on the comments for those of you who are actually attending live. So everybody's giving me thumbs up. That's awesome. I'm always curious as to whether this is how it's sounding on the other end, so I appreciate that feedback. All right, a couple things to start off with. As always, our EE Live Q&A is sponsored by the Canadian Immigration Institute, and in particular, the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide to Doing It Yourself, which is a video tutorial, an actual walkthrough of how you do the entire Express Entry process. And as always, that course there is the official sponsor. And so I just wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to that sponsor, because really that's how I'm able to do everything that I'm doing here. And I'm just going to flip my screen over here, and I'm just going to show everyone. This is the login here that you would see when you actually purchase the course. And it's a monthly subscription, so you can stay in as long as you want. It's $39 US a month. And you can see here, I'm just going to enlarge this so that everybody can see. And this is the beauty of Max. You can see here it's broken down into every single section that relates to Express Entry. So if you're a person who is just new and getting ready to submit your application and wondering, well, what is this all about? You can see everything from welcome to the guide. What is Express Entry? How the comprehensive ranking system works. And then I go through everything from the top 5 things to do before you even submit your Express Entry, because often you don't want to submit it unless you're ready to do it. And everything from registering for your account to even how to determine if you're eligible. So for those of you who are thinking about it, not quite sure whether you qualify, this is actually perfect for you. Then you have the individuals who are ready to submit, and I have a complete section on completing your Express Entry profile, everything, explaining all aspects of it, and there's a number of lessons here that you can see that are all related to each section of the Express Entry, the online portal. And whether you're a principal applicant, this will work for you. If you have a spouse, we have sections specifically designed for them. And so you can pick and choose the ones that are most important or the ones that apply to your situation. Also, if you're a person who's received your ITA and you're thinking, okay, well, I probably don't need the course because I already received my ITA. Well, you're wrong, because the next level is completing the electronic application for permanent resident forms, and I have an entire section devoted to that. Each individual applicant, their spouses, their sections for them, and even your dependent children and what you need to do to complete that portion. So I provide tips and strategies. I walk you through the whole process. I actually demonstrate and in a real live example how to do it. And I provide information on what to expect. So after you've submitted it, sometimes you even have to upload documents later on. I have sections specifically for that. If the government comes back and requests more information, what you need to do, because sometimes that can trip people up. And then I have an entire section down here that's all devoted to frequently asked questions. So as you can see, this here is the sponsor, this course. I love it. I think it's awesome, and I put a ton of time into it specifically for all of you. And obviously, as a Canadian immigration lawyer, my legal fees are not cheap. I charge you $5,000 Canadian in legal fees, plus the government processing fees, and the 5% sales tax and disbursements. That's what I typically charge people to represent them. And I knew that many of you in Asia Pacific and that are listening in other countries, that fee structure may be a little bit out of reach. Now, obviously, if you want it done through a representative and someone that you can trust, well, I'm not here to sell myself. I answer questions all day, every day to all of you, and actually showing you what I know. So it's up to you to determine if you would like to engage me. I would love to do it, but I recognize that the legal fees are not cheap, and so because of that, that's why I created the course. So as always, this is the course here, and I'd encourage you to check it out. All right, enough of that. I'm going to push that out of the way. For those of you who are new to this, you'll see up here EE Live Q&A. If you have a question you'd like to share, have me share at least an answer to within this EE Live Q&A session, then send it to my email right here. But I want to explain something to everyone. And you know what? I'm going to show you something else here. And this is the fun part about this whole process. The fun part is that I can share my screen and show you and demonstrate things in a live environment. So I'm going to open this back up again. Here, folks, is our EE Live Q&A. And if our Express Entry Law Facebook group. Now, I don't know if you can see right here. I'm going to try and enlarge this a bit. But right here, if you can track my mouse, you can see that we have 37,119 members of the group. And you can see there's 29 more people that want to join. So I'm going to go right in here, and I'm going to approve all of these people and invite them to join us as well. But you need to understand, and now I'm starting to reach the stage where it's actually becoming quite overwhelming. And I'm running out of, time. I just don't have enough time to actually be able to give the same level of one-on-one attention. So here's what I'm thinking. Because it's so difficult, and often I'm answering the same questions to people within the group, I have to find a way to magnify the time that I'm putting in. So one of the ways that I'm going to do that is to do more frequent EE Live Q&As. And some people send me messenger requests. And you know what? I'm going to go back in here and let's see. I'll show you, for example. It's important for you guys to see this so that you can understand kind of the position that I'm in. So I'm going to blow this back up. So you can see up here, you can see I have there's over 72. I just clicked off of it. 72 requests for me to to deal with things. And so I'm just scrolling through here. And then within Messenger, I also have, there's 31 recent ones. I spent till about 1 o'clock last night trying to respond to people who were sending me private Messenger requests. And I'll be honest, folks, it's just not possible. I can't respond, and I feel bad because everybody, genuinely needs help and are asking for assistance, but I'm kind of maxed out. So what I'm going to do going forward is I'm not going to be able to answer everybody's questions the way I have within the comment sections of our Facebook group, and I'm going to slowly try and transition away. I've also hired a wonderful person, Brown in Philippines. She's has her law degree, and she's going to be helping me to answer your questions as well within the group. And ultimately, this format, the EE Live Q&A, I'm going to try to do these more frequently, maybe 3 times a week. And in here, I'm going to answer the questions. And then I'm going to pin it. So Adela said, put a QA section and pin it to the top of the group. Yes, you'll also notice that I've created a separate page where Justin, my technical advisor, Justin Holiday, has been saving all of them and making them accessible and easy to search. We're also going to start to put the topics, and we're going to list what's covered in the Q&As within the videos that we post, and those will all be accessible, and I'll have Justin come on, at least provide an explanation as to how it works for people. So these are some of the ways that we're going to transition, because I'll be honest, I anticipate this group to be over 100,000 by the end of this year. And when you have a group that large, you can appreciate that my ability to help everyone is just, it's not possible. So I have to find a way to to reach more people at the same time. So this EE Live Q&A is going to be it. So periodically I will jump on and I'll just answer your questions. But I think everybody is understanding now. So if you've sent me an email, and some people have sent me an email here, and I'll give you an example. I've got one here, if I can find it. I'm going to send you an example. Okay, here. I've been going through my office here trying to get everything organized. This morning was a very stressful morning because I've got a study permit I have to get done for someone quickly. So anyways, it doesn't matter. But people send me emails. I can't find the one I was looking for. And they basically say, here's my qualifications. Do I qualify for express entry? And I'll tell you, those types of questions are what I would consider as specific. Or, here is my job description. Can you help me find my knock? And that's actually one of the questions that I'm going to get to today. But those specific type questions, those are questions that I actually get retained by people to answer. So they're very specific. They're related to your particular circumstances. And because of that, I'm not able to, I just don't have the capacity to give legal advice to every single person who's requesting it. And so that's where you would need to book a paid consultation. And my consultation fee is $200 for every 30 minutes. And GST, or goods and services tax, in Alberta is 5%. So it's $210 for a 30-minute consult. Now, I know many of you have already booked them, and you'll know right away that in that 30 minutes, we pack everything in there, and it is totally a valuable experience for anyone who contacts me. But with that being said, if you send me an email to mholthy@stringham.ca, and within that email you say, hey, do I qualify for express entry? Please do not be offended if I send that to Charlene to book a consultation, because that's the only way I can deal with that. Only send an email here if you want to ask a general question that will be of benefit to the 37,000 members that we have. So I think I've talked about all of this as much as possible, and I hope you can appreciate my position in my efforts to try and help all of you, that my capacity is just limited. And so, like I said, I appreciate all that, the patience that you guys have had. I care deeply about all of you guys, and I really do want to be of assistance. And this is the only way that I can think of to help as many people as possible. Okay, we've covered enough here. It's time to jump into some of our questions. And I want to thank all of you who have taken the time to send me your questions. And so let's go from here. So we'll start, okay, and this is actually the one I was going to refer to. So this is Navjot. And Navjot, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your names well, but Navjot indicates, hi Mark, I have one major concern, which is the reason I have not applied yet for express entry in spite of having 444 comprehensive ranking system points. I work as a medical scribe since 2 years. I work from India for U.S. doctors, so doctors in the United States. It is like remote scribing with the help of Google Glass. Very cool. And that's the world we're in, isn't it, folks? This ability to work virtually. Just like I can represent people all over the world with their express entry applications, people from India, from Pakistan, from Nigeria, from Colombia, all over the world, because it's entirely virtual. So Navjot is working as a medical scribe. However, there is no code or option for medical scribe in the skilled worker or occupation list. I could find medical transcription, which is somewhat related. Will my experience of medical scribe be counted using the code for transcription or any other alternative? And then they say you can reply me here also if you do not find this an important question for live Q&A. So this type of a question is related specifically to Navjot and their work experience. And it involves a whole lot more than just doing a quick assessment through a comment in the in our Express Entry Law Facebook group, or even covering here within this EE Live session. And so Navjot, this is something that people would usually pay me to assess to make sure that they've got the correct knock. But I'm going to show you something, okay? I'm going to show all of you guys. I have done lots of blogs that I post, lots of other resources I've created to help people in these situations. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to jump back here to my web browser, and I'm going to type in the secret to finding your correct knock. That's it. Straight Google. and I'm going to hit enter. And right at the top, right here, you'll see my blog because it's very popular. So I don't even need to put my name or anything else. I just need to type in those words. Right here is my Canadian Immigration Podcast, and I don't plug it a lot. I don't spend a lot of time pushing people here, but this is a great resource because it covers a lot of different aspects of immigration. But I actually drafted this blog post right here, and let's see if I can get it a little bit bigger. And I updated it just a few days ago, so last updated June 25th, and it talks about exactly how you determine your proper NOC. And I go through step by step and provide tons of links and explanations and everything for you. So this is Navjot. This is where I would direct you to initially. If you did not want to pay a consultation fee and have me confirm 100%, then this is where I would send you. And so you'll notice within the comments that I post within our Express Entry Law Facebook group, you'll notice very frequently that I will refer back to other materials that I have provided. And that is what my administrative assistant, my legal assistant, Browen, that is what she's going to start doing, is to direct people back to the same resources that I direct you to. And you'll also notice that I don't put comments down, or rarely do I comment, without providing a link back to the IRCC website and the actual source data. So any of you who are commenting that want to really be a master user within our group, a real significant contributor, which I love people who are, always revert back to the source of the information you're sharing. And then people can know that they can trust and rely upon it. Okay. All right. So here's another example. So we've got Megan here who just left a comment and says, tell me about Express Entry. I don't know about it. And then contact me, and there's the email. So those type of general questions, what I would do typically is I'll point people right here. If you want to know everything there is to know about Express Entry and how to file your own application, then subscribe to the course. And so that's typically what I do. And Browen is going to help me with that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift to our next question. So thank you, Navjot, for that question. Okay, this is for Rafiq. And Rafiq says, I work in a government sector in Iraq Kurdistan region. I work as an observer at financial department, and I'm the only one who speaks English there. Interesting. How does CIC verify my work experience letter, as the organization I work for does not have a website, and no one speaks English instead of me? If they want to contact my employer, and I do not have pay slips at all, and the organization has a very simple letterhead, I'm very worried that maybe CIC does not recognize my work experience letter. I hold a Master of Science in Finance and Investment in the UK. Okay, so Rafiq, this is a great question. And this also comes back to what the government really wants. So this is going to be a teaching lesson as much as anything. I'm going to flip back to my screen here. And so I'm going to go back to full screen once again. I'm going to enlarge this again because I know you guys are on your handhelds. I know most of you are on your a tablet, or you're on your phone like me right here. But I want to show you, this is the source. If you are wondering, so here's what I do, there's the one I want. If you're wondering what the documents actually need to look at, and I'm totally blowing all of the the foreign representatives and agents out of the water now because I'm giving you the source that they use to answer your questions. So this link right here takes you specifically to what the government looks for when you are submitting documents. So the question was with respect to reference letters, and what do you do if no one in the company speaks English? Well, let's go down and take a look. So if you scroll down here, right here, proof of work experience, and this is what the officers look for. And so I'm going to try to enlarge this even more if I can, so that everybody can see, and hopefully you can, proof of work experience. So this is the document requirements. So if you look here, these documents are mandatory for each work experience declared. Whoops, I went a little bit too high. So it's a reference letter from the employer. So this is what you need. And Rafiq, if it's in a different language, then all you need to do is have them write the letter and then get it translated. And so you need to understand that that even if it's in a different language, that's okay. But here's the kicker. This is the most important thing. it has to include all the positions that were held while you were employed at the company, and it also must include the following, and this is key: job title, duties, responsibilities, job status, dates worked for the company, number of work hours per week, and annual salary plus benefits. So this here, as you can see, is really important. And if you just because you're from a country where the English isn't the first spoken language, and you need to provide a letter that's in a different language, you just need to make sure that it's translated with a certified translator. Okay? And there's lots of thumbs up there, so that's awesome. So there you go. So that is the source. And actually, I keep jumping back and forth, but that's okay. It gives you a little bit of variety. So when it comes to this, understand that this has answers to all of your questions: medical examination, police certificates, your copy of your biographical data, mandatory documents if applicable. You can see here proof of studies, letter of offer from the employer, proof of funds. So this is the source. And if you're saying, well, what do I need to include, or what's required? This is a significantly, well, it's the best place, I guess, that you can go to get that information. Okay. All right, let's jump back here. All right, so hopefully this information is helping you all. Okay. All right, and people are firing off more questions here, and you can appreciate how difficult it is to stay focused while I'm watching all these comments flowing down. So bear with me, folks. I will try to get back to answering comments a little bit later. And in fact, excuse me, we'll see whether we have time to get to comments in the actual comment field here within the live video. Okay, let's go to some other questions because people have sent them to me. Okay, here's another one. Okay, this is from Emeka, and Emeka says, "Hi, Mark. It's 3:32 a.m. here in Lagos, Nigeria. So I will say good morning. How are you doing? I'm doing awesome. Guess great. Anyways, I'm a new member of your group. I would like to know what my chances of getting any express entry into Canada. I have 7 years work experience in payment cards personalization." So you can see, Emeka, this is the exact type of question that people pay me to assess their qualifications and their eligibility. But I'll also tell you that in that consultation, we don't just talk about express entry. We cover every aspect, answer any question that you have about Canadian immigration. And so, like most people, when they ask that question, I direct them back to here. It explains how everything works. It explains even how to submit the whole process. So I always direct back to the EE complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. All right. Okay, so now I'll go to the next question. This one is from Chanakia. I think I'm pronouncing that, or Shanakia. I am Shanakia from India, lawyer by profession. I'm about to submit my EE application under the skilled labor category. My CRS, or comprehensive ranking system, is 479. That's awesome. So my query is, my passport is about to expire in 3 months, and I have applied for a renewed passport. A, should I submit my EE application, or should I wait for my renewed passport? And B, if I submit my application with my old passport number and I receive an ITA, can I change or modify my application after receiving the ITA? I personally like to keep things as simple as possible and to make them as easy as possible for the government. At 479 CRS points, I would give you the advice to wait and not submit and use your new passport. Because at some point in time, you will need to change. You won't get through the whole process while your old passport is still valid. And in fact, when it comes to landing, you need to make sure that you have at least 6 months of validity on that old passport. So my advice in every case would be to hold off and not submit, because going through the process of trying to update your passport after, you just don't want to do that. So that's my advice. Okay, Sigil. So this is from Sigil. Hello, Mark. My wife is planning to apply for express entry for PR, and she wants to include me in her application. as well. Well, that's awesome, because we had previous discussions where people didn't want to include their spouses because they were afraid their CRS score was going to go down too much. Because remember, 40 points are attributed to a spouse. And if the spouse doesn't have the same level of education or English language abilities or any Canadian work experience, then you can lose those points. But that's great, Sigil. Okay, I will be the dependent on our application. Great. My question is, do I need to provide all the reference letters of employment for processing the application? Okay, so here's the simple answer. And he just confirms that some of the organizations that he worked for are already closed. And he only has employment letters from the company, and he's not in a position to get reference letters from the company. So essentially, the reference letters that we looked at have to have that specific information in them: hours worked per week, your salary, your duties. And so because of that, often the reference letters you get from your company are insufficient for immigration purposes. So he says, what happens in this case? Will her application be processed because of this? Or he said won't be processed because of this, and hope you'll answer my question. So, Sigil, here's the answer. If you are claiming points under the eligibility assessments, so if you're going through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which I suspect is the case and you're not currently working in Canada, if you're going through that process, then you need to meet the 67-point threshold for eligibility for that Federal Skilled Worker Program. If you need work experience, and you need those letters to get points in some way for that eligibility, or you're claiming comprehensive ranking system points based on your work experience as a dependent, then you need to include them. But if you're not, you don't. And so in the work history section, it says, please list all the work history that you want to claim points for. You don't list any. You just say, no, there's none. And then you don't have to worry about any of those reference letters. But remember, you're not going to get any points for that. And so if you need those points, then you go ahead and you do what you can to get the reference letters, or the next closest or best thing that you can get. And we've had prior Q&As where I've gone through that in details as well. But yeah, that's really what it comes down to. You only need to include it if you're going to get points for it. Okay, great question. Great question. All right, last question for today. This is from Deepali. Dear Sir, I have completed my master's degree this year. Result will be declared next month, but the degree certificate will be issued to me in the next year by the university. Now, I'm not sure if that means 2018 or how long. So do I need to wait for 1 year for my degree certificate to apply for ECA? That is crazy. Your school takes a full year to actually issue the certificate? Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe that any school would even do that. Actually, I have also gained 1 year of my full-time paid work experience alongside my full-time master's degree program. So do I need to wait for 1 year to enter into the pool despite my studies and job done? I belong to India and have done everything in India only. I hope you'll answer me. Thank you in advance, Deepali. Okay, Deepali, you've got two questions here. The first question is with respect to the degree. Well, it all comes down to whichever educational credential assessment agency you're going through and their specific requirements. Now, one thing I may do is try to get someone from West to come on and join me on my Canadian Immigration podcast so that we can talk about these issues, or from one of the other educational credential assessment agencies and have them explain their processes. But each of them have a list of what you need to do in order to get your education assessed. And for you to get credit for your Indian education, you need to have an ECA done. And so the requirements of that agency are the ones that are really going to be the most important. When you go to file your express entry application, you will include that educational credential assessment. And they also counsel us to include both a copy of the transcript and the degree if available. And so in your circumstances, it's really the Educational Credential Assessment Agency that's driving the ship. But if you have the ability to wait, then that's 100% going to be something that you can rely on. Anything less than having your certificate, well, there's a chance that they could have a problem with it. But there's no real hard and fast rule that says you must include it. But you do have to have that educational credential assessment. You have to have a transcript that confirms that you completed your degree And really, you're probably going to need that information anyways in some form when you're getting your credentials assessed. Okay, the next question that you put in there was about claiming work experience while you're going to school. Well, in Canada, if you're in Canada going to school and you're applying under the Canadian Experience class, then you can't count work experience gained while you're on a study permit. But if you're going through the federal skilled worker program, it doesn't matter. You just have to meet the minimum requirements for skilled work experience. In other words, having that 1 year of continuous work experience in one occupation, a total of 1,560 hours per year, a minimum of 30 hours worked per week, and that's really what is the most important thing. You can also accumulate the equivalent of that in part-time work. So if you're working for one company at least 15 hours a week over 2 full years, then you can accumulate that work experience. Or if you're working for 2 different companies at the same time in the same occupation and you're working 15 hours a week for each of those at the same time, you can count that. So that pretty much answers the questions, I guess, that were sent to me to this stage. Thanks so much for all of your positive comments. Right now we're sitting at about 31 minutes, which is really good. And I think we can take a few minutes and answer some of the questions in the comment section. Now, because it's really hard for me to scroll down, or I should say scroll all the way back up to see all the comments that people are leaving, and we're up to 50 people here who are watching live, what I want you to do is to repost your question again, and then I'll be able to see it and answer it accordingly. But I'm not going to get to all of your questions. I'll just try and pick out some. Okay. Okay, Faison says, Mark, if someone has an experience of 3 years in internal audit, but his qualifications by CIC doesn't match, would he get points for experience or not? Okay, so you have to remember when it comes to work experience, if you go to that blog post that I wrote on the secret to finding your correct NOC, that blog post explains what the government is looking at when they are trying to determine if the duties you performed are equal to the particular occupation that you want to claim work experience for. So that equating process involves you completing all of the activities in the lead statement and a substantial number of the duties listed in that occupational profile. And some of you, so internal audit, 3 years in internal audit, and can you claim experience for 3 different NOCs? Oh, okay, that's Sanjay's asking a different question. So for Faison, go to the blog, take a look at it, and then make sure that the duties match. If the duties don't match perfectly, then you just have to make your case. You have to pick the one that most closely resembles, and then that's a process that I go through in my consultations with many clients who are really struggling, and we systematically go through and find the one that matches as best that we possibly can. All right, great question. Okay, Sanjay says, how much can I claim experience for 3 different NOCs? If you're going through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, you can only claim points within 1 NOC. So you have to choose which one you're choosing for the purposes of eligibility through the Federal Skilled Worker Program. Okay, so that's important. Then after that, work experience just has to meet the minimum requirements set out by IRCC. But when you're going to qualify for eligibility, you have to have accumulated the work experience in that 1 NOC. Okay, all right, let's see here. We're going to scroll down. Oh, Avinash. Please tell about Nova Scotia PNP. Do we have to upload old and new passport images? Avinash, I do not cover provincial nominee programs within our group here. They are so volatile. Some of you have seen that the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program recently released a list for IT professionals. And in fact, people that have scores less than 400 are getting these notices of interest. And these notifications that you get do not guarantee that you're going to even get into the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. They're just basically saying, hey, you're kind of in the range of people that we would consider, so send us an application. And then there's not even a timeline. I do not like the PNPs that can participate in express entry. The number of spots are so small, they close before it even gets started. And I'll tell you, I just don't waste my time with them. Some people do qualify and some people can benefit from them, but I spend all of my time on express entry, the traditional route. And I don't, until maybe Alberta, for instance, gets involved with express entry, I just don't waste my time with it. And it just gets a whole bunch of false hope, and then people are clamoring to get their applications in, and then in the end, only a handful actually get approved. So I can't answer that question, Avinash. Okay, Mustafa says, "Hi Mark, thanks for your dedication and support. A big thumbs up for you and to Billy. Great. I have a question. I got an ITA and I submitted my application since January, and now 3 days left to complete the 6-month period. According to my local visa office, I already passed medical and criminality and now in background verification stage." Whew, this is a long one. My question is that I changed my bank and transferred all of my proof of funds money to another bank, but it's still above the required proof of funds. Should I keep calm and wait, or should I notify CIC, and how can I notify them? Again, thanks for your support and wish to see you in the beautiful state of Alberta soon. Sincerely, Mustafa. Mustafa, I always encourage all of my clients to not change anything within the process. Now, it's probably not fatal for you if you change the money to a different bank account. Sometimes people do that in preparation for moving to Canada. As long as you've got that proof, and when you land in Canada, after you get your passport instructions and after you get your permanent resident visa in your passport, when you come, you need to be able to show that you have those funds available. And it's not a big deal whether it's been transferred to a different account, but I recommend always that people don't make those changes. Because you don't want to give immigration the impression that somehow someone just loaned you that money and it wasn't really yours in the first place. So I'd recommend against it, but it's probably not fatal. Okay. All right, let's zip through here. Who's next? Okay, Krishan. Krishan says, "Is it mandatory for a married applicant to apply PR for spouse also?" No, it's not. And in the past, we talked about the fact that if you list your spouse as non-accompanying, then basically what happens is those extra 40 points will come back to you. And then you will be assessed on as a single applicant if your spouse is not accompanying. Now, I did confirm as well with, and let's see here if I have these photos still. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this one out and I'll stick it on here. Okay, I did confirm with these fine folks right here. So right here are some of the government officials, and I did talk with them about, I guess I can leave it up just for a second. I did talk with them. These are the ones, the individuals that were at our last conference, our National Immigration Conference for the Canadian Bar Association. And I asked John here, I said, okay, well, what's the rule, at least what's your position when it comes to non-accompanying dependents? And I know, based on the regulations, that if someone lists someone as non-accompanying initially, they get their ITA, they submit their electronic application for permanent residence, and then just before finalizing, they say, oh, my spouse changed their mind and they want to come. Technically speaking, you can then even add them on at that stage and provide the passport information, all of the other supporting documents. So you actually can add a spouse on before your application is finalized, and it is a little bit of a loophole. But I'll tell you, I would never do that. I think it's somewhat disingenuous. And I think people need to be playing fairly by the rules. And I'm not one of those lawyers who uses loopholes to get around things. But right now, the government said it's there. And so people can do that if they, if circumstances change. But no, you don't need to include your spouse. You can list them as non-accompanying. But they would still need to be medically examined and have police clearances completed as any spouse would, whether they were accompanying or not. Okay, great question. Okay, we got another OINP from Tushar. Tushar, I know what you also sent me an email about the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, and I really don't deal with the program. And so I don't want you to think that I'm not interested in responding to your emails or helping you. But the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, it's just so volatile. There's just no guarantees with people. And so I'm sorry, but I don't deal with it enough to be able to advise you. I recommend that you reach out to maybe counsel that is in Ontario that can give more information or direction. But I'll tell you, a lot of my colleagues, it's just what we call in Canada as a crapshoot. You can't rely on it or base your life around it. And so I can't answer questions about the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Okay, so Raisul, I'm going to put up here the exact same thing for you, my friend. I teach English in a university in Bangladesh, have 6 years experience. Do I have any chances? Right here. Now, I'm also going to show you one other thing. So I'm going to go back here to my screen, and I'm going to blow this up again, and I'm going to add another one, and it's called EE Come to Canada tool. And so right here, as a skilled immigrant, this one right here is where you can go to determine your eligibility. And if you follow this and answer the questions, the government will do their own little assessment to see whether or not you qualify. Now, this is somewhat challenging because depending upon how you answer the questions, it can trick you into thinking that maybe you do qualify, or say that you don't when you genuinely do. But that's one place that you can go, and I'll put a link in the comment section for this. And then the other one for eligibility, then you can also go here to the EECRS calculator, and this is how you can determine how many points you get. So you can use both of these resources, and I'll put them in the comment section to help you in determining whether or not you qualify. But in every case, I will always push you back to this right here. And the reason that I do that, as I go back here, the reason that I do this here is because the website tells you what to do. This course shows you what to do, actually demonstrates with me giving you commentary. So I always will direct people back to taking the course. All right, let's scroll down here a little bit. Okay, Giju, who's a frequent question asker, in travel history, do we need to specify travel done before age of 18? No. Do we need to specify travel done on visit visa? Yes. So every trip that you make outside of your country to a different country, you need to accumulate those days. And in fact, every part day spent in that country, even if it's a couple hours, I always consider that as full days. And from the age of 18 to currently, if you've gone through that whole process, you've assessed all of your travel, and you've found that you've spent more than 6 months in any country, then you need to obtain a police clearance for that country. So it's a cumulative assessment, not a consecutive. So it's not whether you spent 6 full months together at one time, it's over the span of that entire time. So that's what you need to watch for, and that's why they ask so much about your travel history. So I've seen people who refuse, so don't be deceived. Okay, Adela asks, "Hi Mark, thanks for your support. My question is, what document needs to be notarized?" Well, the reality is I get every single thing translated, and I personally get them notarized that are not in English or French. So those documents, I go through and take that extra step just because I don't want to take any chances. And it's always difficult if you just are doing the translations yourself. Often that can run into issues. But when it comes to translations, I always make sure that it is by an approved translator. Okay, and I see Salman here. "Hi Mark, is the distance learning bachelor degree 2 years accepted in Express Entry profile?" Well, it's pretty simple. If you're outside of Canada and you're completing that educational credential, there's lots of educational institutions that have distance learning. But you're going to need to get past the educational credential assessment agencies. So they're the ones that are going to assess whether your education works for Canadian purposes. And sometimes it won't, because the institution that you were attending, that program is not recognized as being equivalent to a Canadian credential. So your question relates back to what your actual WES or ICAS or one of the other educational credential assessment agencies, what they actually will equate it to. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so Optimistic Man. Well, unfortunately, Optimistic Man, you need to put your real name, and then I will. Although I love the picture of the horse, I would rather have your actual real name to answer questions. But your question is the same the same basically, I think, as many people. How do I qualify? What are my qualifications? So I'll direct you back to the Express Entry Complete Step-by-Step Guide. Encourage you to look at that and subscribe. And as well, if you'd like to book a consultation, you can do that through my firm website. And I'll also show everyone here. Let me just pull this up once again. And I'll put this in the notes as well. Let's see if I can find it here. This is the link. So people who want to book consultations with me can go straight to my firm website. And here is the location where you can book it directly with me, Canadian Immigration Lawyer, and you can schedule the consult and you can explain here. And as you can see here, we have two different rates, one for me and one for our immigration consultant, Billy, as well. And so there's a 5% GST added onto that, but those are our consultation fees, and they're right on that page. So if you want to do that, you can just go there and book a consultation. I'm happy to discuss with you. And then I'll also just stick it, I'll go back here, and I will put it right, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but actually that's pretty big. Anyways, we'll see. That didn't work very good. Anyway, so I'll just stick it at the very bottom here. So there's the link to go to the website to book a consultation. All right, let's see what else we have here. I've got time for a couple more questions. Okay. All right, I'll try to answer Sharon Tan's. Hello, sir. I'm from India. I've completed 3 diplomas in electronic and communication, and have 3 years experience as hardware and network technician. Can I apply for Canada PR? What CLB level I need? Thank you in advance. Okay. So once again, go here when you're asking general questions like, do I qualify? But then also you'll see here a diploma in electronic communication and then hardware and network technician. Well, technicians tend to be classified as a skill level B. And if you are applying outside of Canada through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, it doesn't matter what occupation your experience is in. As long as it's at a skilled level, you need to meet the minimum threshold of CLB 7. And some people say, what is CLB 7? I've got my IELTS scores. How do I know what the IELTS converts to with Canadian Language Benchmark? Well, let's go back here and let's take a look again. And so with this, I'm going to pull it up again. I'm going to go CIC language equivalency chart. And right here, this one, you can see, gives you the breakdown of what your scores equate to on the Canadian Language Benchmark. So if this is the International English Language Testing System, IELTS, general test, then if the CLB right here, you need to meet a minimum of 7, and that's across all abilities. Then you can see here for the IELTS, your scores need to be a minimum of 6. But I can tell all of you, if you do not have a connection with Canada, if you do not have a job offer from a Canadian company, if you do not have French language skills or other things that are going to help you to get more points, then this is your goal here. CLB 9, you truly need to get at least this level in order to maximize your points. So that means a 7 in reading, writing, an 8 in listening, and a 7 in speaking. And so this is the threshold that you absolutely need to get to if you have a hope of qualifying, at least right now, because the comprehensive ranking system, the rounds of invitations, are not they're not dropping below 400 as of yet, except for the Federal Skilled Trade Program, which was a separate draw. All right, so that's that standard. Okay, all right. I think at this stage I'm gonna end there. But here's what I need you to do. So we're up to about live right now. We've got, I think, 56 people watching it live, and it's always challenging for me because I can't really do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just not feasible for me. And so I'm trying to find the right time to do these. And I really appreciate everybody that's jumped on. We're up to 60 again. I appreciate everybody that's jumped on, that's asked questions. And so what I'm going to do is try to find a time that works the best for everyone. And so I'm going to see if I can post some kind of a survey within the Express Entry Law group. and see if I can then do a survey to see what the best time is to meet with all of, to do these. And then I'm going to try to do them, like I said, at least 3 times a week. But I'm going to reiterate to everyone, please don't get upset if I'm not answering your questions right away. And those of you who've joined a little bit later, I'm going to show everybody once again here. This is here is our Express Entry Law group, and I'm going to go back into the discussions, and I'm going to show you. See, we have 15 more people already that want to join, and so I will approve all of them, and then if I'll go back to discussions here, and you can see here we have 37,177 members in our group, and it is physically impossible for me to get all of them. If you look here, right at the top, pinned to the top, Justin Holiday, who's my tech guy, he has indicated that he's posted all of the past Q&As here at this site, at our Canadian Immigration Institute site. So if you click on this link here, it will actually take you to, you can see all of the previous Q&As, and they're all organized relatively by date. Okay, so this is where they're all posted here. So, and this goes back to the first one I think I did May 18th. So that's just to show you one of the things that we're doing to try to make it easier for people to find these. All right, so we'll shrink that back down. And so if I'm not answering all of your questions right away, understand this is why. So the EE Live Q&A is going to be the resource. Browan, my administrative assistant, is also going to go on and answer your questions and point you back to the resources that I've been doing. And ultimately, if you want to book a consult, you can do that here. You can hire me directly, and it always starts with a paid consult. And then don't forget, right here, the Express Entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself is the place that I direct everyone back to. All right, so that concludes this EE Live Q&A session. And like I said, I'll post, if I can, some kind of a survey to get people's responses as to when would be the best times to actually do this. And remember, it's 10:40 a.m. this morning here, and I do work in a law firm, and I do have paying clients that I have to make sure I'm staying on top of. And so unfortunately, going forward, it's going to be more and more difficult for me to answer the way I have in the past, although I'll still try to, when I have time to jump on. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share, as I promised in my little preview for this video, I want to share with you something that happened to me over the weekend. And some of you will remember it was Canada Day long weekend, and so I took my family up to a beautiful location, Wall Lake. And so while I was doing it, I was trying to do some videos, and I will show you, I've created a little video for you guys just to show you what Canada is like and the cool things that are awaiting you if you're able to qualify. But I took my family up to Waterton National Park, where we love to go. And when I was going down, I thought, hey, it would be fun to kind of video while I'm riding. So I want to show you 2 videos, and the first one and then the second one, and you guys are going to laugh. It's hilarious. So I'm going to put this up here, and then I'm going to play it. All right, here we go. I am trying to ride my bike up the hill and record my daughter and wife going around. This is going to be crazy. Roots and all. Oh, okay, I'm still going. Woo! Okay, this is where I'll stop and I'll turn it off. Awesome. Okay, so there you see, I was riding my bike with my left hand holding my iPhone in my right hand. And so I stopped, and we're going downhill now, and it's pretty steep. So now watch this one. This is challenging. Brake. But wasn't that awesome? So basically, I crashed pretty good. I went right over my handlebars and crashed into the bushes. Fortunately, I missed the tree. But because that was so funny, I'm going to show you one more time, because unless you're watching carefully, you'll miss it. And you can
This
see how
is
steep it
challenging.
is.
Break.
So there you go. The extents I go to give you experiences of Canada. No major injuries. Bike was in good shape, but oh boy, was that ever fun. Anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. I hope you liked the fireworks and the other things that I was showing you from Canada Day. It was just wonderful. I want to express appreciation for all of you for attending live, for being a part of the Express Entry Law Facebook group, for contributing, for answering one another's questions, and above all, for just being kind and just decent, good people, and for helping out one another. One of the some people have made some comments about some of my unwritten rules within the Facebook group, and I think I should probably list a few of the rules. One of them is promoting other lawyers or other consultants. I hope you can appreciate that's off limits within the group. And also remember, anything that is not related to Canadian immigration, if someone, if you're just out there trying to sell a different product or something like that, then that will get you removed from the group. And my pet peeve is people who are not kind. So people that poke fun at people who maybe don't speak English very well, or their questions, or are basically just I don't know, thinking that they're better than other people. That's something that I don't tolerate within my group. So everyone, we're all equal. We're all in this together. Some have better opportunities than others. And so let's all just help one another and make this group awesome. And the last plug I'll give you is, remember, we're at about 37,000 right now. My goal by the end of the year is to get 100,000. So we do that by you sharing and inviting other people to join the group. Ultimately, I will approve them, but go out, and if you know other people that would be interested, share. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great